Okay, what is up? Here we have the Wonky Mutant Venom deck from Copycat. I don't really know what this deck's going to be weak to from just looking at it. It's kind of hard to say. Like, its heavy anti-vehicle is just Mutant, so I guess Shatterer and Chuggy you're going to be pretty weak to. I don't even know, man. I need to play. Like, this deck is weird. I can't. It's hard to say what it's going to struggle with at the moment from just looking at it. It's obviously going to have like some mad struggles, but I don't know exactly what yet. It's not got an obvious issue. I think the obvious issue is that your anti-vehicle is Mutant. That's like the biggest clear problem with this deck. And if your anti-vehicle is like just Mutants, then it's really hard to kill. It's quite hard to kill tanks, honestly. It's quite hard to kill tanks if you have to chase them down with Mutants because they just raider away from you. So I do think tank decks are probably going to be a bad matchup for us. We don't have Chuggy to go with the Mutant either. We have Venom, which is a lot less powerful a plan. Shade looks like a problem. We have Phantom, so I don't know if Shade's a problem. We don't even have that many vehicles. We only have bikes and wheels, so I don't know if Shade is really going to be an issue. We don't have lasers, so like early Orca. I mean, this was not an early Orca because our opponent went double harvested, but early Orca would be a problem. And I guess early Shade. Yeah, I guess you're right. Like, until you get to the Phantom, Shade and Orca are problematic. The fact that bikes just cannot catch an Orca as it reloads makes Orca difficult to deal with when you have like mainly bikes to fight it. I have Flames and Venom, right? It's the Venom. Give me the anti-air. Hammerhead. Yep, makes sense. I'm gonna lose this bike on purpose. Oh, he's not letting me. That sucks. Alright, I guess we'll switch to Flamers to play around the Hammerheads. Alright, well, that was pretty straightforward. As is often the case against double harvester players, they just don't have access to most of their deck before the game is over. Chuggy Giga would be difficult. Yeah. I could probably just spam Mutants against that. If you could shoot Razorback with tank, then that unit would definitely be horrible. Alright, we're opening War Factory, aren't we? Is this double half again? Okay, you got it, Chief. Gonna wait and see what comes out of this War Factory. Maybe I'll make bikes. Yeah. It'd be bikes or Mutant. If he'd gone tank, I would have gone straight into Mutant. Well, a tank first unit would be medium insane. So we killed his bikes, losing mostly wheels. But of course now PopCap is going to punish us a little bit. No, maybe not. That was fine. If he goes laser drones here, yeah, laser drones definitely sucks for me. Laser drones is actually one of the things this deck is probably very weak to, because you have to wait for a Phantom to fight them properly. Although you can just beat laser drones with bikes, that is. I played an all War Factory Nod deck recently and I've won with just bikes. I literally made only bikes the entire game against the guy making laser drones and bikes. Yep, bikes OP, chat. Bikes OP. I don't think I'm going to make another unit this game. I think it's going to be bikes all the way. Alright, well there you go. I won with just bike. It's the only unit I made this game. Unit offline. Enemy base destroyed. 3, 2, 1. New mission. Roboto. Uh-oh. That's a real player.
Harvester ready.
That's probably it, copycat. That's probably what he was thinking, yeah. I've seen people make claims like that, where they're like, my opponent cheats, they have 3 units when I make my first unit. And it's like, yeah, because you didn't make your first unit for ages. Like, that's how the game works. Or you went like 2 harvester, and then you're like, oh, my opponent has 3 units when I have 1. It's like, yeah, because you have 2 harvesters, bro. Or a tank. I'm gonna have to make Mutant Marauder against the tank. This, I think we're gonna lose this one. I think this deck seems very, very weak for tanks. Look how long it takes to get to the mutant, by the way. I don't think the mutant's gonna be in time. I think we went bite, bite, and that's it. We lose to a tank. It's just too slow to get the mutant out. And then what's my answer to flames? I have my own flames? That doesn't sound great. Or I keep making wheels, or I have to tech switch again. None of which sounds particularly compelling. That misclick. I don't think I killed these flames in time anyway, but yeah. First missile tank is very hard for me to beat. I don't actually know what I'm supposed to do against the flames. I guess I have to make my own flames, which is... I'm not a huge fan of just mirroring flames for this whole game. I can make a Venom, but it's just not good. Like, air is just not very good against bites and pitfalls. And we don't really have a way to kill bites effectively, because he can just run away from Mutant Marauder very easily and hide behind the Flamer like this. So this is why this deck is bad. This game right here is a perfect example of why this deck is bad. Because he has a bunch of mobile raidery units, and I don't. And raider units are way better than non-raider units. I'm gonna get so wrecked in this game. I guess I literally have this Venom that's utterly useless. I just have to mirror flamers because my Venom is utterly useless. And I do not have good outs for tanks. You had a mutant? Yeah, need to just keep playing flamers. The Venom is not useful in this matchup because of the bites and the Phantom. So I think we are playing flamers. Flamers and bites is what we want to play for the entire game, and then we only make mutant when he forces us to with a tank. The difficulty is going to be maintaining the advantage with flamers whilst also trying to kill tanks with mutants. That's what's going to be difficult. But yeah, I think we're just spamming flamers. I can make a single Venom to force him to make a Phantom, I guess. That's probably the play. Like, we spend 30, he has to spend 100 to try and counter it. That's probably where we're at. Yeah, see, he spends 100 to counter my 30 cost unit. And then we just go back to never making a Venom again. And then he has a useless Phantom. Look how hard it is to kill a tank. Come on, mutants today, please. Mutants are just a very defensive unit because they don't have radar, which means misclick. Yeah, mutants are a very defensive unit because they haven't got radar. Oh, just got crushed by the tanks. They're a very defensive unit because they haven't got radar. So if you don't have some way to protect them from flamers, then they don't do anything because your opponent just runs away from them. You have to have some reason why your opponent has to engage the unit. If you don't have something that forces them to engage mutant, then mutant isn't very good. Yeah, this deck is just bad. The map was a beating. No, the deck is just bad. It doesn't matter what map I'm playing on. Like, I have no way to force my opponents to engage my mutants. Therefore, I have no way to get my mutants to kill anything. This is why mutant is paired with Chuggy like 99% of the time. Because you have to protect your mutant from infantry. This deck can't protect its mutant from infantry. So the opponent can just drive away from the mutants and then kill them with their own infantry at their leisure.
Unit ready.
Bust their Doyle. Your command. Gonna brain her. The Norches will bust their Doyle for Kane.
Building online.
No problem. Revving, burning. Your command.
Unit offline.
I suspect we will easily defeat all of our double harvester opponents because double harvester is fully unplayable. But anyone who just plays like a tank deck, we're gonna really struggle with. Like one half tank is just gonna be very hard to defeat ever.
Unit ready.
Launches will bust their
Unit ready.
Mutants are beautiful. Flames are moving. We're not like the others.
Wow, this guy just has 3 shatterers.
Unit offline.
Okay, a lot of shatterers, man.
carefully
Unit in hand.
They will go up in fire.
Boy, you're rolling out.
That is a lot of shatterers.
Gonna brain
As expected, we crushed the double harvester player because double harvester sucks.
Warhead launched. Mission accomplished. Did receive.
Harvester moving.
Building online. Unit ready.
There aren't really any units in Rivals that stand still and fight and are actually good, unless they're ultra cheap. Which is why, like, Rifle, Missile, Wheel Dog, these units are all really good because they're super cheap. But anything that's expensive and doesn't have Raider or Burst is kind of bad. And even if they are good, you have to pair them with a Raider unit to make them good, generally speaking. Like, Flamer goes with Tank, Chuggy goes with Mutant.
revving the engine.
You gotta have a Raider unit that Raiders with the standstill unit to make it playable.
Your command. Burning rubber. Launches will
Unit
bust their
offline.
no problem. Gonna brain him. Gonna brain him.
Unit offline. Unit ready.
Launches will
I suspect there are, or 2 range I guess, like 2 range standstill and fights and can still be good. But that's because it has 2 range, I mean, it has to like break the mold in some way. Any unit that, generally speaking, units that play Rivals the way it's intended to be played just aren't actually very good. Like units that stand somewhere and have defender's advantage, those units actually aren't very good in Rivals. You generally want units that break that pattern.
tearing them to shreds. Venom. The warden. Your command.
Unit offline.
Your command. No revving the engine.
Unit ready.
The Brotherhood. Launches will bust their Doyle. Boyker advancing. Missiles will smash them.
Unit offline.
Your command.
This guy went double harvester, so I suspect we'll win very easily again.
Out.
The double harvester is terrible.
Boyker ready to roll.
Nice Temple of Nod. It would be a shame if the game was over before you were able to build any units from it.
Warhead launched. You are victorious. 3, 2, 1.
I guess APC breaks that rule. APC is a unit that stands still and fights, and APC is pretty good.
Unit ready.
APC does have the fact that it drops a missile trooper though,
Unit ready.
and you also pair it with Pitbull almost exclusively. Like that's usually the combo, is you put APC and then you defend it with Pitbull, which is a Raider unit. So it kind of, again, it's the same thing. Like without the Raider unit, the APC is not that good. Yeah, like because it's 2 units is a large part, but also you pair it with a Raider unit, like you pair it with the Pitbull.
Honor. They will go up in flame troopers. Ready to burn.
So is it the APC that's good, or is it the Pitbull that's good? And the APC just supports the Pitbull. I think it's the Pitbull that's good, and the APC just supports it. That's just kind of right. That's how Rivals work. Like, it's kind of sad, right? Because the developers designed this game with like, oh, you control the pad, you have defender's advantage, but all the units that actually just play the game normally are bad. Like they only work when you pair them with units that break said rules. Look at this jabroni. Just zero F's given about my bike squadron. Just, I'm gonna go attack your Harv now. Okay, Chief. I'm sure if you get that harvester, the game will immediately end in your favor, as has been proven many times.
Building online. Unit ready.
Setting up burning rubber. EMP must faith in disrupting me. Flying out.
Look at this. Look at this guy. Actual zero fucks given. Just straight to the Harv. Alright, well, I mean, you're dead now, so... Should have got the Harv, I guess. Then you would have won. But instead you are dead.
Enemy base destroyed. 3, 2, 1. New objective available. Building online. Harvester ready.
Is that another double harvest? Wow, everyone just going double half today. The one person who went single half beat me. It was kind of close, but, you know, he beat me fairly easily, I'd say. And then everyone else has gone double half and not come remotely close to that, even making it a game.
Advancing, Wonky ready to roll. Launchers will bust their dial. Protein.
Unit ready.
Your command. No, launchers will bust. Revving the engine. Wonky ready to roll. Your command. No missiles will smash them. For the Brotherhood. Advancing.
Missile launched.
Launchers will bust their
This is
dial.
going to be yet another example of why tech is terrible. As if we needed any more examples.
Protein. Your command. Wonky ready.
Yo, thank you for the gift subs, Conman.
Wonky ready.
Unit offline.
Your command. Advancing.
Here comes a tick tank. I guess I'll shoot it on the move.
Bust their dial.
I have Mutant, so I don't even care if this tick tank borrows. Mutant just hammer tick tank completely.
Your command. No problem.
Is he going to the harvester with it? Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me right now?
Time for you to sign off.
Oh my god, dude. I just can't even. I just can't even.
Unit offline.
Okay, well, close game and stuff. Oh my god, dude. Can we get some, like, proper games of rifles, please?
Objective complete.
3, 2, 1. New objective received.
Yeah, I don't know what changed, Copycat. I guess Flamers, that's what changed, right? Like, Flamers are played now, so mutants go down way faster than they used to.
Unit ready.
Building online. Unit ready.
Yeah, Flamers and Shocks just kill you way too fast. I've not seen any pop capping so far. He's killed your first 2 squads.
Launch. Major structural damage received. Unit enhanced. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit ready. Unit lost.
Yeah, this guy has aggressively killed all of your squads. He hasn't left a single squad alive yet.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit enhanced. Unit ready. Unit lost.
Oh, here we go. Nope, never mind. He still killed it off.
Unit lost.
And that one.
Unit ready. Unit ready. Unit lost. Unit lost. Warning. Enemy ion cannon activated.
They categorically know this guy is not a pop capper. He did 0 things I would consider pop capping in that game. Place now.
3, 2, 1. New objective received.
I think Shocks and Flames being popular heavily incentivize tank decks as well. Like, you pretty much always play tanks with Shocks and Flames. Sometimes like MLRS or Giga, but most of the time it's
Unit ready.
it's tanks.
Building online.
The point of this deck is you need Flames to have another option against Flames and Shocks. Yeah, and well, isn't that what the Venom is for? Or, I mean, you don't need to play the Venom, you can just, like, wheel Flame is all you need against Flames and Shocks. I don't really know what, like, the Venom doesn't really add to the puzzle. Yeah, no one is saying Venom is bad. Come on, man. Venom is a good unit. I don't think it has much. Like, I don't think there's very many Venom decks in the meta right now. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with Venom. Venom's a good unit. Oh, I see. So the Venom is to beat Chuggies. That makes sense. Yeah, Chuggy Laser you can beat with Venom, so having Venom helps a lot there. You meant to imply it's underutilized. I don't think so. I think it's just not very good in this metagame. Like, the unit itself is not inherent. Well, I guess if a unit is bad in the metagame, then it is bad. So actually, I think maybe Venom is bad right now. I think just Venom is not good in this metagame, which makes it kind of a bad unit. But I don't think Venom needs buffs or anything. I just think that the stuff that smashes Venom maybe needs, like, the metagame is just heavily favored towards like, Venom decks are not favored in this metagame, I would say. I think it's just, like, everyone's playing Stank and Phantom all of the time, and it takes too long to kill Flamers and Shocks with Venom. Chuggy is just so much better that everyone's playing Chuggy. Because there used to be, like, Venom tank decks, but now everyone just plays Flamer Tank instead.
Unit offline. Missile cancelled. Nuclear warhead launched.
You put Chuggy in this deck, is it better? Yeah, definitely. This deck would definitely be better with Chuggy instead of Venom, because then you can just play Chuggy Mutant against most things. Like, Tank Flame just seems so strong versus this. Tank Flame and Shock Fred just seems so good versus this deck.
Harvester ready. Unit ready.
Rivals would be a very different place if you could play 7 units. 6 feels like just not quite enough to give yourself many options. Like, it's quite difficult to build a 6 unit deck that covers, like, most of your bases. And then it leaves you with very specific, like, your decks end up being very specific because you have to build them in such a way to answer everything with only 6 cards. I do wonder if actually, like, would 7 just mean that there's more problems you need to solve? I don't think so, right? Because when you're building a deck, you're already thinking, how am I going to beat every single thing I can possibly run into, right? That's how... You don't build a deck and go, oh, well, I'll build this deck and just lose to X. Except that's what GDI does at the moment. GDI is just like, I'll just lose to Inferno, or I'll just lose to Giga, that's just the way it is. Because you can't build a 6-card GDI deck that can cover everything. But Nod can. Nod can build a 6-card deck that can handle most things. So if you had 7-card decks, how much would it change the game? I think it would just mean you had a lot more, like, everyone's deck would be able to do a lot more things, right? And it wouldn't change, I shouldn't have gone second mutant there, that was meant to be a flamer. I'm used to flaming being the other hotkey. It wouldn't change, like, you wouldn't suddenly have more things to deal with playing against 7-card decks, because you already have to play against a myriad of 6-card decks. You're already building your 6-card deck with, like, 28 enemy units in mind, right? This is basically the issue. This right here is the issue. You can't Venom a Shock Trooper whilst mutanting a Pitbull. Because the mutant can't shoot the Pitbull whilst the Venom shoots the Shock Trooper. Because the Pitbull will be on top of the Shock Trooper. That's kind of what's wrong with this deck. That's why it doesn't work. You don't have a Raider unit. Look at it, I cannot kill this Pitbull. This Pitbull is killing my Venoms, but I can't kill it. Because I cannot reach it. So I have to transition. I can't even use the Venoms. Like, the Venoms become worthless because I cannot use them to kill enemy infantry. Because my Pitbull can't kill because the Pitbull kills the Venom. So because they have a Raider unit, it makes my unit combo without Raider worthless. So I need to play Raider units as well to fight Raider units. That's kind of like, you have to play Raider, because if you don't play Raider, you lose to enemy Raider. Because Raider is ultra strong. So that's really the issue, right? Raider is too strong. You're forced to play Raider units to beat enemy Raider units because Raider is overpowered. Why has this guy stopped making shock troopers? That's the thing that was beating me before. There we go. Now I'm screwed because I'm copycat. I don't have time. I need to get the flames on defense. I guess I can boost to win the fight. That's probably my best bet. But look at this one mutant desperately trying to kill a pitbull. Didn't even get it. Like, I got close and the bites finished it off, but the mutant didn't kill the pitbull. I'm in trouble here. I have the Venom to get onto the pad again. I think we got him. Go. But yeah, that second missile just shows the problem. Like, you can't beat a Raider combo without your own Raider to kill it. You just have to play Raider. Raider's so strong. Like, if everyone had a tech unit, you'd have to balance them better.
3, 2, 1. New objective available.
Ayo! 34. Ah, yeah. So anyway, this run was just a great... This run was a great discussion point on how insanely good Raider is. And why Raider is so important.
Our base is under attack.
Raider is super broken. Almost every good deck contains a Raider unit. I don't think there's a good deck that doesn't contain a Raider unit. I can't think of one. There's like GDI decks that don't play Pitbull, but they almost always play Predator with their Slingshot. Because like if you don't play Pitbull, you often have a Slingshot. Almost everyone plays Pitbull because Pitbull's so good, and a large part of that is that it has Raider. And then decks that like... Not decks that don't contain a tank usually have a Chuggy. A lot of decks are Razorback decks. Like everything is just everything is Raider because Raider is the best ability in the game.
Unit offline. Warhead launched. Unit offline.
Yes, that's exactly it, Copycat. This is a 6-card deck that has good answers to everything in the game, but you can't beat combos. Like, there's no individual unit that I think this deck would just auto lose to. Maybe Flame Tank, because of Mutant. Like, when Mutant is your anti-vehicle, you generally lose to Flame Tank. Like, you can't kill Flame Tank with just bites. But, like, non-tech units, I don't think there's anything this deck loses to that's non-tech on paper. But once you start combining units, once you're fighting, like, Tank Flame, and you have to beat both of those at the same time, then suddenly this deck doesn't do so well. It can beat Tank and it can beat Flame, but it can't beat Tank and Flame at the same time. Like, it can beat Mutant and it can beat Chuggy, but it can't beat Mutant Chuggy. Or like, look at this, like, they've got a Mutant, a Chuggy, and a Flame, and a Phantom. Like, this is a very... What am I supposed to do against this combo? I have to... Like, the only answer here, I would say, in this deck, is to make a lot of Venoms. Enough Venoms that the Phantom can't beat them. That's the answer. You make so many Venoms that when the Phantom kills one, you don't care. You just make more Venoms. That is how this deck wins against Mutant Chuggy Phantom. You make so many Venoms that they can't beat it. But even that's not really working. You can clearly see here I'm struggling. I'm really struggling. No, misclick. Ah! Okay, we're good. We're not dead. Although we're about to be when that stage reloads. Yep. Like I can beat Chuggy, I can beat Mutant, I can beat Phantom, but when you put them all together, suddenly the deck doesn't really function. Because I can't use Flamers to kill mutants when there's a Chuggy nearby. So yeah, this deck is good. This deck has good answers to every single individual unit in the game, but really struggles once they start comboing them. And that is really what Rivals is all about. Like, all the best decks are Raider combo decks, pretty much. Oh, I can make my own mutant. I'm an idiot. Why would I not make my own mutant? That's how I can fight Chuggy Mutant, it's just with my own mutant. It's like not a bad idea at all.
Unit offline.
Of course, Mutant Chuggy is better than just Mutant. Oh dear, it's all listed the problem. Am I dead here? I have to come and kill this, Chuggy quickly. I think I'm just dead though. Oh, found them! Yeah, I'm just dead. Because I can't beat Raider combo! I just can't beat Raider combos! Like, the deck is pretty weak. Like, 8-2? 8-2 is pretty bad. I should have made Mutant sooner, but Mutant Chuggy will beat just Mutant. Because he can tank my Mutants with his Mutants and then Raider his Chuggy. And I don't have that option. I don't have any answers to his Mutants, really. Because Flamers die to Chuggy and Venom dies to Phantom. I don't have a Raider combo, so my deck is super weak. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was basically just a discussion on how insanely powerful Raider is and why every deck should be a Raider deck. Because all the best decks in the game are combined arms. Like Flamer Tank, Chuggy Laser, and then Chuggy Inferno, and then Laser Inferno. Laser Inferno is an interesting one. That's a combo that doesn't run a Raider unit. But it does run a burst unit in the Inferno, and that's what makes it work. What else have I got? This is another Chuggy deck. What else do I play? I play Predator Razorback decks on GDI. And I play Predator Shock deck. The only thing, like, this is the closest to a deck that doesn't Raider combo, and it still plays Pitbull APC as a large part of its game plan. And this deck's not great in this metagame. So yeah, I think basically all good decks in this metagame are Raider combo decks. And to be fair, most good decks across the history of Rivals have been Raider combo decks. Alright, I will see you all next time.